How y'all feeling? Okay, y'all can do better than that. How y'all feeling? Okay, so some people would call me a performance poet. Other people would call me a spoken word artist. And so that means I perform for live audiences. So that means I give, you give back, okay? So everybody raise your hand and just snap for me. You hear something you like, I need you to snap for me. If you hear something that moves you, I want it to be like that moment where you smell fresh mac and cheese out of the oven, because that's how you make it. And you just hit me with one of those mms. Can y'all do that? All right. And for you really, really like cool folks, you can combine them. Let's try that. Okay, cool. So I give, you give back. Both the poems I'm gonna do for you are about my family. I grew up in South Central LA in the Nickerson Garden housing projects in Watts. Both of my biological parents fell victim to the crack epidemic, like many people in my neighborhood. And my birth mom died when I was 2, and my dad passed away about a year ago. And I wrote these poems in honor of them because I realized growing up that I learned affection and love. I learned about that through food. My family, we aren't huggers, but we are foodies. So here are 2 poems about my family. The casserole is getting cold and stiff, like the hospital, like Dad. It'll be thrown out in the morning. There's always more casserole, more I'm sorries, more hugs, tears, and prayers. We sit down for dinner and we pray over Aunt Jean's burnt casserole, and it looks like a coffin, like half-baked condolences. We eat in tired silence. I think everybody knows it is the only thing that can be swallowed with the casserole. The quiet is routine. It is an emotional strip search where we scan each other for baggage so we can give our automated response. It's going to be okay. Daddy isn't suffering anymore. He's in a better place. But the only thing that speaks is the bottom of the pan. It is dark and charred, stained. Each layer counts an end, counts the time some stranger baked their pity for us to consume. This house is still, but we are living in my daddy's stutter, a repetition of dinners where we hide behind plates the way that addict hid behind his charisma. And I feel like they're trying to force feed me comfort. Like every meal is a replacement for my father, but I ingested that absence a long time ago. I was 6 when I buried him 6 feet under the pit of my stomach. My mouth knew the word daddy wasn't on the menu. I've never tasted afternoons with my father since funeral. It was bittersweet. I think your parents' funerals are supposed to taste like cavities, like plaque, like wisdom teeth being taken too soon. But when I was a kid, the tooth fairy and I used to use my teeth to wage bets on the next time I'd see my father, and I guess that's why I never smile. I'm a living testament that you are what you eat, and some days I feel like casserole, smothered with crisp edges, ready to fall apart if you cut into me. I become consumed by my friends' misplaced worries. I want to tell them I am okay. Leave me alone so I can grow cold and stiff like the last batch of casserole. Okay. There are a lot of long faces in here. You're like, damn, that got heavy. It's all good, because soon's much happier. So I have my biological mom who passed away when I was 2, but I have my mama, who's actually my aunt, and she raised me. So this poem is about her and how awesome she is, and all the times she took me to church and we had refreshments, and by refreshments, I mean a full course meal. So yeah. I imagine death looks like the old black woman who serves refreshments after church. There is love in her kind of death. I saw in her eyes the first time she fed me. Her hands dressed in wrinkles, each fold another person she buried into the earth. I imagine love. Love looks like the old woman who serves refreshments after church, but there's death in her love. It calcifies in her bones, then turns to ash, and she becomes dust the color of the sunset. It's New Year's Day, and death hands me a plate. She's packed on extra greens because I prayed to God that I needed help with my student loans. Later, I wanted more, but I could not find death. Instead, there was love, and she says, even if I am not here, child, you will always be full. And I imagine my first friend in heaven will be an old woman who serves refreshments after church. She is black, so black she is the beginning. She is my mother, and she is love. Thank you.